I saw someone say when Tyron got knocked out, his ass jiggled as well. It's so mean.
Just haven't been.
Man, that was a crazy knockout. That clip, what a clip. Holy fudge.
Yeah, but I think it was kind of interesting. A lot of things are interesting about it, and I know everyone will be like, "Don't fucking." He's definitely gotten a lot better.
Jake Paul?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people. Last time I talked about this, they confused. A lot of his fans got like sensitive about what I was saying because I think what I was trying to say was he has a right hand, but he hasn't shown anything that's like, ooh, like this guy is a phenomenal boxer, right? Strictly speaking, on like his footwork and to me, he doesn't seem like a natural. Like he's like an athlete though. He's like committed to learning and like getting better at it. But to me, he's not like a dude who gets in there and he's like really light on his feet just naturally, and it's just like, oh man, this dude is whatever. It was really funny how many people were like, "This is rigged. This is rigged."
I mean, why would you like? If it's rigged, why would you agree to be knocked out like that?
Not like that.
Yeah.
Fuck no.
Yeah,
if it's rigged, you're just gonna lose on points, and then that's it. Another thing I thought was interesting was I think his natural expression, and people are like, "Oh, he gassed out. He gassed out." I don't think he gassed out. I think he just breathes like that. I think he just hangs his mouth open. I think that's just how he is. He's still like when it got spicy, he didn't really look that put together.
Did it get spicy? I don't know. I watched. So it was a win for me that I didn't know what was going on, but then afterwards I was like, "Probably check out the highlights." And I googled it, like watched the YouTube video, and it was like, I don't know if it was just a bad edit or what, but the guy was like cutting to all the action.
No,
there wasn't a lot of action. It was kind of them hugging.
It was really, really bad. It was an awful fight, and I think it was because Jake was planning on the counterpunch. He was trying to bait him in, so he wasn't doing a lot of work like jabbing him up and looking busy. His strategy was like really simple. It was like jab a little, and then like he's kind of like backing up or getting Tyron to bite. And Tyron, he just, no matter what training he does, he just looks the same. Like he does that fucking wide ass, flat footed stance. His hands are like up here. And I think his whole, the way he's fought his whole life is being able to do this like crazy shuffle forward and spark people with that right hand. So I just think it was a great matchup for Jake because it's like, all right, he hit me with the hardest shit and I was all right. As long as that doesn't happen to me, I'll be okay. The most action was Tyron accidentally elbowed him.
I saw that one.
And cut him open.
Yeah, I saw that. No, it was a headbutt, wasn't it? Didn't he do that too?
No, they kept saying it was a headbutt, and Tyron like, or I guess you call it a headbutt because Jake like dipped down, but Tyron like he covered up and like his elbow.
Gotcha.
I'm pretty sure clearly like contacts his forehead. But all that to say, I still feel like I think here's what's interesting about you not knowing about the fight. Most people didn't know. I found out a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Because I just happened to be like cruising some like boxing thread on Twitter, and then someone's like, "Oh, Jake Paul such and such." I thought that was wild. I'm like, damn, it's not even on my Discover page.
Yeah.
Not until like the day of. And it's interesting because I think even the Tommy Fury fight, people were saying Tommy Fury's a bigger draw. I thought he was less of a draw. I feel like we only heard about it because it was Tyron, maybe.
Yeah.
It's really grim when like you look at all the stuff leading up, like Jake bought him a Rolex.
I know.
That whole just
It's grim because it like worked.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, he's only like 5 fights in, and he's doing what you're supposed to in boxing, which is like you line up matches that work for you. And I think he's still just knocked out a 40-year-old man who doesn't really know how to box.
Yeah.
And boxing, I think that's a great thing to illustrate is that boxing and MMA are not the same.
Yeah.
And so that's why Jake is so confident being like, I'll fight Masvidal, I'll fight whoever. Because for them to adapt to strictly boxing, it's not the same. So I do think Tommy is going to be tough for him, though. But he could win.
Is it going to happen?
I think it will.
And what's the story? He said he had like concussions or some shit. I don't know.
I didn't pay attention to any of that. I just, I definitely legally streamed the fight.
You legally streamed it?
I definitely legally streamed the fight.
You legally streamed it from the pay-per-view that you bought?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I definitely legally paid for the fight.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's really good to know.
Yeah. I mean, I think the interesting thing is no one gave a shit. And I really think it'd be harder for anyone to give a shit about the next one. I actually think those first couple fights he had were only so big because of like the pandemic. Like he kind of hit it at the perfect time where everyone's kind of just in the house, bored.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it still was like a packed venue or whatever, like stadium they have. It looked like it was packed.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely sold tickets.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the hype has died off per se. I think when you compare it to the first one, it's a flawed comparison because I think that first one was like exponential numbers that anyone would struggle to hit normally. Yeah. So, but I think the thing that everyone is just going to have to accept is everyone has to get Jake Paul tattoos. And this kid he's punching his way into boxing. Well, we'll see. I mean, the next one, I think whatever boxer, if he fights a competent boxer in the next 3 fights, I don't know how well he'll do. I really don't. Because, yeah, he sparked out Tyron, but, like, Tyron, exactly what you said, would just, like, lock up with him and then just hug.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
Beautiful moments.
The commentators are so funny because they were... Even Jake didn't really show a lot, and they were like, none of these guys want to fight. And then at the end of rounds, they'd be like, who'd you give that to? Like, I give it to neither of them. Like, they were so over it.
I think everyone's pretty checked out.
That's what I mean is, even on the third one, here's the crazy part. I almost feel that even if he gets knocked out, no one cares.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, who gives a shit?
Which is a win for him.
It is, yeah. I think that's a good point about culture and social media is that, now we're so depressed. We're at the point that if Jake Paul got knocked out, we'd all just shrug our shoulders.
It's like,
yeah.
I knew it was going to happen eventually.
Yeah, it was,
yeah, I'm saying it's a win for him not to be knocked out when people really wanted him to be knocked out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Now he's like, he's gotten to the point where it's like, even if he does, everyone's kind of like, oh, well, that's okay. Really?
Yeah.
That happened last night? Oh. Huh. I think I saw a clip of that on Twitter.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah.
I think Jake Paul in some ways kind of like Limp Bizkit.
What?
Like, it just feels like every few years there needs to be like sort of like a tattooed guy who's like really like some tattooed white guy who needs to be really extra.
Okay.
And that was like Fred Durst for a while.
Yeah. Who else?
I think MGK qualifies a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
And then like Jake is kind of like his own breed of that.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like, I used to think, oh, who's like a Jake Paul fan? Who could be an adult Jake Paul fan? I'm like, oh yeah, it's anyone who would have liked Limp Bizkit in the early 2000s, but is just born now.
Yeah.
Like there's a dude who woke up this morning and put on his Jake Paul shirt and was like, my boy, he did that shit, dude.
Yeah, there's grown men still referring to themselves as Jake Paulers.
Yeah. What I love is that we share something with Jake.
What?
You can't escape your early creative.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Yeah.
And Ariel Alwani in the middle of the ring after knocking out Tyron Woodley. I think it was almost the only thing that could demote Jake Paul's happiness.
What did he say?
Would you say it's every day then?
No way.
Something like that.
God.
And you saw it. That was actually for all the fighting we've seen Jake do, that's the most stunned I think we've ever seen him. He went, it's every day, bro. Ooh. Weirdly,
I had to do it.
Weirdly, I felt for him.
Yeah, exactly. We could make like a box office smash movie, right? And we'd be accepting our speech at the Oscars. Is that the one?
One of them.
Grammys. We'd be getting a Tony.
At the
Streamies. We'd be getting an AFGOT or whatever.
At the Streamies.
Yeah.
That our PR firm paid us to be at.
And the person reading the thing would be like, Now that's not cringe at all. It's Cody calling Noel Miller. Come on up here, guys. And we're like,
oh, no. You're being too generous. You know what they say?
What?
I guess it pays to keep your dick fat.
Yeah. Yeah. I had someone say that to me at a bar the other day. He came up, he's like, keep your dick fat, bro. And I was like, get away from me.
Ow.